To start our discussion of today, I'd first like to take a moment to thank both the organizers of this wonderful event that we've been enjoying and you, the audience, everyone who logged on today to be our listening ears to our message. We thank you very much for being here. Okay, so today I'm going to be discussing the gut, and we're going to be talking about it from the perspective primarily of how the gut affects your health. And I can all but guarantee you that by the time we finish this discussion, your viewpoint on your health and on your gut are going to be very different than when we started our discussion today. So let's start off with the basics. What does your gut do? Well, on the surface, the gut is responsible for the breakdown and digestion of food. Of this, we are all very well aware. However, when we take a slightly deeper look at the gut and how it functions, we find a world that is unimaginably complex. So complex, in fact, that the latest research into the field has left us questioning exactly what makes us human. Why do we say that? Well, here are some statistics that I'd like to share with you that give you an idea of what I'm talking about. If you look at us as human beings on a cellular level, you'll find that we possess about 30 trillion eukaryotic or human cells. These eukaryotic cells are what define us as human. They're what make us different from any other living creature. But if you keep digging through what we are on a cellular level, we find something very interesting. And that is that we are also made up of 39 trillion microbial or bacteria cells. So what that means is that on a cellular level, we are only 43% human and 57% microbial. Now, when we look at these numbers on a genetic level, they become even more astounding. As humans, we possess about 2 to 30,000 human genes in our genetic constitution. Now, that might sound like a lot. However, this number is paled in comparison to the amount of microbial genes that we possess. Just how big is the difference? Well, on average, we possess between 2 and 20 million microbial genes. What that means is that on a DNA level, we are only about 1% human. And if that isn't food for thought, I don't know what is. Now, all these microbes that we've been talking about form an ecological system within our body referred to as the microbiome. And it's mainly the health of our microbiome that we're going to be discussing today. Because as we have seen, if you neglect your microbiome, you're neglecting 99% of what makes you. The most densely populated microbial centers of our body is found within the gut. In fact, researchers have suggested that the colon possesses a microbiota community that is more dense than any other microbial system on the planet. So, what do all of these microbes do for us? What do they do for me and you? These microbes, particularly bacteria, play a vital role in our metabolism and health. The good bacteria in our gut performs a variety of duties, including helping us to make vitamins B and K available within the body. These bacteria are also responsible for the breakdown of dietary fiber. This breakdown results in a release of beneficial anti-inflammatory fatty acids that are vital energy sources for our body and also help in reducing our risk of developing cancer. In addition to this, these good bacteria also fight off bad bacteria and prevent them from reproducing within the body. In fact, 70 to 80% of our immune cells are found within the gut. So, the health of our gut can have an extremely severe effect on our immune system as well as our susceptibility towards developing disease. And we'll talk about that particular point a bit later on. For now, we'd like to focus on another thing that the gut does, and that is that it talks to your brain. Scientists have linked the gut to a wide variety of neurological disorders because of this. You see, one of the crucial functions your gut helps your brain to perform is the production of neurotransmitters. These neurotransmitters are the chemical messages that control your muscular and nervous system functions. The poor production of these neurotransmitters can and does affect your mood. To prove this, let us use the neurotransmitter serotonin as an example. Serotonin helps to regulate our mood and our social behavior, our appetite and digestion, our sleep function, our memory, our sexual desire and function. In short, serotonin is defined as the feel-good hormone. Here's an interesting point though. 90% of our body's serotonin is produced within the gut. Poor function of the gut results in low levels of serotonin production. A shortage of serotonin causes us to have feelings of sadness and depression. Low levels promote negative thoughts, feelings of anxiety and irritability. We crave sweets when we have low serotonin levels in our body, and we have a reduced interest in sex. Other serotonin-related disorders include depression, anxiety, panic attacks, insomnia, irritable bowel, hormonal dysfunction, fibromyalgia, obesity, eating disorders, obsessive compulsive disorders, muscle pain, chronic pain, migraines, and headaches. One compromised system in the gut, all of these health issues as a result. Researchers are finding evidence that irritation in the gastrointestinal system may send signals to the central nervous system that trigger mood changes. These new findings might explain why there's a higher of normal percentage of people with IBS and functional bowel problems that develop depression and anxiety. And that research is very important because up to 30 to 40% of the population develop some form of bowel problem at some point in their life. In addition to affecting our mood, the gut's effect on our brain can be much further reaching. It can affect our memory and our perception of the world around us. We see this in the case of people suffering with autism. Recent studies have revealed an extremely strong link between autism sufferers and disorders of their gut. In fact, 70% of children who suffer from autism have been diagnosed with an accompanying gastrointestinal disorder. And focused treatment of the microbiome in these patients has yielded what many would call astounding results for those suffering from autism. But coming back to you and me, our gut can affect our ability to learn and remember information. Poor microbiome population within the gut often results in a decreased production of a protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. BDNF is the protein responsible for aiding learning and memory. Low levels of BDNF are linked to depression and anxiety and often lead to children developing behavioral issues, particularly in the classroom. These are just a few examples of how our microbiome affects our brain and our mood. And from these examples, you will find a common thread in them is the mention of depression. Yes, if you had to ask any number of healthcare practitioners and microbiome experts, they will tell you that we can now categorically link an unhealthy microbiome to the epidemic of depression that we see around us today. In fact, consider this example of what I will quite often see in my own private practice as an iridologist. I'm going to show you an image of an iris that possesses what we call the radii solaris iris sign. And as you look at this image, notice how there are dark lines that emanate from the pupil in the iris. So have a look at the image and then we'll discuss it. So this iris, which you've been looking at, is representative of poor and compromised gut health in an individual. This sort of iris sign develops in these ones. This compromised gut health results in the leaking of toxins into the rest of the body, particularly the brain. So those dark lines which you observed in the iris, almost like the spokes of a bicycle wheel, they indicate precisely where the toxins from the gut will manifest themselves and in what organs they will affect in the rest of the body. Treatment for this condition and for this iris sign is always directed towards the gut and the restoration of gut health. Restoring equilibrium within the gut and rebuilding essential gut flora and the microbiome causes this condition to eventually recede and even in time disappear. There is, however, an interesting psychological and physiological phenomenon that has been observed in patients possessing the radii solaris iris. These individuals often tend to possess self-destructive personality types. This manifests itself in the individual either in the long term developing some form of autoimmune disease or self-destructive mental state, such as depression. Now, the question to follow is a very interesting one, and it's one I used to ponder often. Was the toxin buildup observed in these patients responsible for the self-destructive neurology, or was the self-destructive neurology the cause of the toxin buildup? A bit of a chicken and an egg scenario. Modern science has helped us to gain the answer to this question, helping us to realize just how vital the gut health is to maintaining brain health. So the answer to the question would appear to be that the compromised gut is responsible for the affected neurology of the patient. And this answer opens up to us a whole world of questions and possibilities when it comes to treatment of neurological disorders, especially depression. Treatment for depressions that have focused on the gut have resulted in success rates in over 90% of cases when the treatment methodology is focused on the gut. When you compare this to the fact that only 4 out of every 20 people put on antidepressant medication experience improvement outside of the placebo effect, the findings of the gut microbiome study are remarkable. Okay, so now that we've discussed how your gut affects your brain, let's talk about how your gut affects your body, your physical health, and your disease potential. As we have already discussed, the majority of our immune system functions within the gut. And so it's no surprise that a compromised gut immunity would leave us extremely vulnerable to developing disease. Note what the following studies had to say regarding the gut and disease. When discussing rheumatoid arthritis, 2 studies from the Mayo Clinic suggested bacteria may predict susceptibility to rheumatoid arthritis. So they're talking particularly about the gut bacteria here, as well as offer a possible treatment. A study published on April 21st, 2016 by Genome Medicine looked for a biomarker of the disease. Researchers were able to isolate certain bacteria that are higher in rheumatoid arthritis patients but lower in healthy individuals. Another study published on June 23, 2016 by Arthritis and Rheumatology found that mice treated with certain gut bacterium had less severe and less frequent symptoms and fewer inflammatory conditions associated with rheumatoid arthritis. When considering cancer, a study published on April 13, 2016 by Plus One offered some evidence that a particular strain of bacterium, Lactobacillus johnsoni, may protect against some cancers. Scientists gave mice a mutation that is associated with a high incidence of leukemia, lymphoma, and other cancers. When treated with the bacterium, the mice developed lymphoma only half as quickly compared with a control group. When researching heart disease, an article published in February 2016 by the Journal of Applied Microbiology found that the bacteria strain Akkermansia mucophilia could prevent inflammation that contributes to fatty plaque buildup in arteries. Scientists believe the effect was due to a protein that blocks communication between cells in the inner lining of the gut. As a result, fewer toxins from a poor diet could pass into the bloodstream, which in turn reduced inflammation. When considering the immune system, a study published on the 5th of November 2015 by Science magazine discussing research found by the University of Chicago, they found that introducing a particular bacteria strain into the digestive system of mice with melanoma prompted their immune system to attack the tumor cells. The gains from the study were comparable to treatment with anti-cancer drugs called checkpoint inhibitors. And the list goes on and on. Our susceptibility to heart disease, liver disease, diabetes, IBS, and all these issues can be traced right back to our gut health, the health of our microbiome. Your microbiome also affects your nutrient absorption from the food you eat. As such, it can have a tremendous effect on your appetite and fat storage within the body. A classic example of this was the medical case of a woman who needed a fecal microbiome transplant as a result of a severe bacteria infection within the gut. The donor of the fecal microbiome was her 16-year-old daughter, who, apart from being overweight, was by all intents and purposes perfectly healthy. The transplant was a success and the woman regained her health. However, over the next year, the woman gained 15.5 kilograms of extra weight despite having no history of weight issues. In fact, not even a medically controlled liquid protein diet could stop the woman from gaining weight, and this was despite constant dieting and exercise. Now, to scientists, this is not a new phenomenon. The same result has been observed when fecal microbiome transplants from overweight individuals were introduced into the microbiome of rats. The rats gained weight uncontrollably. So, with all this information that we have considered, the only logical question left then is, how can I ensure that my gut is as healthy as possible? Well, you've come to the right place for the answer to that question. The natural health field has been advocating gut health for pretty much as long as the field has existed. So here are just 3 treatment methods that are available to help aid in gut health. The first treatment method is hydrotherapy. So hydrotherapy, also known as colonic irrigation, is a practice that has been traced all the way back to the Egyptians in 1500 BC. In modern times, this therapy has been improved to provide a fantastic gut detox method. Hydrotherapy involves flushing the gut with water. This flushing enables the cleaning of any bowel obstructions as well as the removal of toxins from the large intestines. In fact, Dr. Bernard Jensen, who many believe was the father of modern natural medicine, was one of the chief proponents of this treatment. On a smaller scale than going and seeing a therapist for this treatment, you can also give yourself an enema consisting of warm water and coffee. This will not only detox the gut, but will also help to detox the liver. Another treatment option when it comes to restoring your gut health is castor oil. Castor oil is another tried and tested gut detox method. And the great thing about castor oil is that it not only cleans your gut, but it also helps detox the gallbladder. To perform this detox method, you simply drink about 30 ml of castor oil with some juice. In addition to the cleaning proponents of castor oil, an added benefit is that it aids in the healing of the gut wall as it works its way through the system. A third method is herbal laxatives. Herbal laxatives come in a variety of shapes and sizes. They are often the easiest to take and require very little effort on your part. Simply follow the instructions on the box of your chosen laxative and let it run its course. I would like to recommend consulting a registered healthcare practitioner before undertaking any of these gut cleansers, especially if you have any underlying gut disorders. But all these practices, what they have in common is that they are tremendously effective ways to clean the gut and to get rid of any toxins that are sitting in the gut so that we can start to build up the microbiome and the gut flora after that. So that's what others can do to help your gut. But what can you do on a daily basis to ensure that your gut is as healthy as possible? Well, I highly recommend addressing your diet as the starting point of any gut health regime. You see, your diet plays perhaps the most important role in the health of your gut. So, what does a gut healthy diet look like? Well, grab a pen and paper because I'm going to give you some principles for eating for a healthy gut. Okay, so let's start with our eating habits. Good eating habits for your gut include eating a high fiber diet with lots of raw vegetables. The fiber in your diet not only helps you be regular, but it's also what the bacteria in your gut feed on. So if you have low levels of fiber in your diet, you starve your microbiome, resulting in a low population of good bacteria. Another healthy habit is to drink plenty of water to stay hydrated. Hydration is extremely important for the gut. It helps your gut wall to be more flexible and helps promote healthy digestive enzymes. Avoid eating too much red meat and processed meat, as these are linked to colon cancer and constipation, especially heavily processed meats. Another good gut habit is to take daily probiotics to create a more diverse bacteria environment in your gut. Probiotics introduce new healthy bacteria into the gut. So take probiotics, especially a liquid one, gives you a straight injection of beneficial gut bacteria and new life right into the gut. There are also some strains of probiotic that have been shown to treat depression with results that are on par with most antidepressant drugs. Another healthy habit when it comes to your diet for your gut is to include plenty of variety in your diet. Eating a variety of food makes a big difference in the health of your gut. Adopting these habits on a daily basis will go a long way to improving your overall gut health. In addition to this, these healthy foods will help your gut to perform at its best. These healthy foods include fermented foods such as sauerkraut, kefir, coconut, yogurt, kombucha, turmeric. This is great for its anti-inflammatory properties. Fresh ginger aids in the digestion and in the treatment of nausea. Psyllium husks are a great source of fiber for bowel function. Cabbage, kale, broccoli, and other brassica vegetables. These enhance detoxification and are a good source of fiber. And apple cider vinegar. This stimulates digestion. These good habits and great foods will ensure that any gut detox that you embark on will be successful and have long-lasting effects. Here are also 4 specific food types that are great for your gut. Number 1 is cooked greens. There's no way of getting around it. The fact is that greens are just so good for us, even though there might be times where we would rather them not be. Greens are packed with so much goodness, especially gut goodness, including fiber, vitamins, mineral, phytonutrients, and protein. And all of these we can get from our greens. Raw greens are often harder to digest and can aggravate existing gut conditions such as IBS. But when you cook green vegetables, they become much easier to digest, and the minerals inside of them become more freely available to your body. Steamed, roasted, or even boiled, green vegetables are delicious and are a great place to start helping your gut. Number 2 are fermented foods. Fermented foods are packed with probiotics, and we've already discussed just how beneficial probiotics are to the system. When it comes to the consumption of fermented foods, we do recommend a moderate consumption of these foods because in excess these foods can lead to bloating. But here's a list of some fantastic fermented foods: kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha, yogurt, kefir, olives, tempeh, and miso. All of these fermented foods are packed with such good gut bacteria. Number 3 is foods that are high in fiber. Fiber can be found in most plants, such as fruit, veggies, beans, legumes, whole grains, and etc. And we've already discussed how the gut microbiome loves fiber. It gives them something to feed off of. But in addition to this, a high fiber diet helps to control your appetite and regulate your blood sugar. So it's great for digestion in itself, in addition to feeding your microbiome. Insoluble fiber promotes the movement of waste through the digestive tract, and that allows for optimum elimination of toxins from the gut. The number 4 food type that is really good for your gut, and we've already mentioned it, but we're going to mention it in a bit more detail, is fruit. Fruit is high in fiber, like we've discussed, but the type of fiber that is in fruit is actually more gentle on the system than a lot of fibrous vegetables. There are also quite a few fruits that contain enzymes that support your digestive system. Papaya and pineapple are 2 of the best. So papaya in smoothies is great for the gut, and pineapple contains bromelain, which is an anti-inflammatory enzyme, which is also amazing for your gut health, especially if you suffer from something like IBS. And the number 5 food might be quite a surprising one, but it's bone broth. And this is very true, I kid you not. Bone broth is packed with a ton of protein, along with vitamins and minerals that are great for your gut. The ease of digestion and absorption makes bone broth an ideal supplement for the gut. In addition to all these healthy diet options that we've mentioned, intermittent fasting has been shown to be incredible when it comes to the health of your gut. And I highly recommend trying intermittent fasting if you don't have any underlying blood sugar issues. Regular exercise promotes healthy gut function as well as reduces stress. And high stress levels have a very adverse effect on the gut. Other things that impact gut health are: number one, antibiotics. Antibiotics to the microbiome are what chemo is to cancer. Antibiotics kill off microbes left, right, and center and dramatically reduce your microbiome population, which in turn actually damages your immune system more than helps it fight off infection. Now, we recognize that there are times when an antibiotic can save your life. However, you don't need an antibiotic for the flu or the cold. These broad spectrum courses of antibiotics can cause irreparable damage to the microbiome and thus irreparable damage to your health and mental well-being. So that's number one, is antibiotics. Number two, for things that affect your gut health badly, is sugar. Sugar feeds bad bacteria and fungi in the gut. It also results in low microbiome population. So your gut health will not improve if you stick to your fizzy drinks and junk food. It's a simple fact. The number three thing that I want to mention that really has a detrimental effect on the gut is stress. High levels of stress are bad news for the gut. Stress may cause a decrease in blood flow and oxygen to the gut, which could lead to cramping, inflammation, or an imbalance in your gut bacteria. It can also exacerbate gastrointestinal disorders, including irritable bowel syndrome and inflammatory bowel disease. So stress is really something that we would want to moderate and control to help us have a healthy gut. So avoiding these things will help your gut microbiome get back on its feet and get back where it needs to be, and thus help you to get back where you want to be with your health. So, do you still view your gut the same way as you did when we began our discussion today? Well, for me, this information changed my entire treatment methodology when it came to my private practice. I realized that the gateway, the cornerstone to the health of my patients, was to effectively treat the gut. That's what motivated me to develop a specialized treatment plan to help rectify the gut, as well as to provide hands-on natural health coaching that adopted this holistic treatment methodology. And I could say with a smile on my face that the results of this have been fantastic. My one patient who came to see me suffered from chronic fatigue syndrome, medicated high blood pressure, and severe back pain. With focused treatment of the gut, she no longer suffers from any of these issues, and she no longer takes her blood pressure medication. She no longer needs it. This change took place within 5 weeks. The reason for this rapid change is because the gut microbiome can be changed within an incredibly short period of time. This is because the average lifespan of a gut bacteria is only about 20 minutes. So you can reform the entire system in a relatively short period of time. And this is the message that I want to share with you all today. You don't have to live life with chronic conditions forever. You don't need to climb this insurmountable mountain to have a healthy life. You simply have to look after your gut by developing the gut healthy habits that we have discussed today. The expression "you are what you eat" is not a new one. In fact, it can be traced all the way back to Hippocrates. Yet, it's something that we always seem to forget. And often we shy away from such ideas as what we've discussed today because they make us, and not a pill, responsible for our health. And if I leave you with anything today, I would want it to be this: take responsibility for your health. If you do, results that you could never even imagine when it comes to your health will be right at your fingertips. Grab them and do it for you, and do it for your family and those who are in your life. And if you don't know how to do this, then let me help you through my natural health coaching programs that are tailored to each specific individual and individual case. If you do these things, a healthy, happy life will be yours to live. So in conclusion, look after your gut. After all, it's 99% of who you are.